I'm live. Okay, so I have a little bit of a different spot today. Trying to resolve my lighting issue. I know sometimes it's a little dark out here. I'm just hoping I don't fall in the pool. And I'm hoping these posts don't get in the way. And my signal, since I'm a little bit further away from my Wi-Fi, hopefully these things aren't issues. If all of a sudden stuff is weird, if you could holler at me, because I may or may not actually know, right? That should do. How does that look? Right. Hi, Darlene. Hey, Sherry. All right, awesome. So I got just a couple more minutes. Let people pop on. So I didn't get any feedback as to poses that you guys wanted to see. If you want to, or not necessarily see, right? But things that you want to do, areas that you really feel like you need to stretch. If you have any last minute things and you want to pop them into the comments, I can see about putting them in. And I know if you're on YouTube, that's difficult depending on how you're watching. So, hey, Amy. So there's an option to bring you guys on camera on my Facebook thing. And I know you guys don't always want to do that, but if you're willing, I love to see you guys and see what's going on. And if there's any feedback I can give you, I don't know if the camera option gives me volume too, so I could hear you if you had questions. Darling, I know. I get up to do these and I have to put makeup on and it's really kind of so taxing, right? But so yeah. Anyway, there's an option, and if you're cool with it, that's fun. Morning, Sandy. Good to see you. I don't know who's gone over on YouTube. I can't see that part. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and it's time to get started. Today, I don't have anything necessarily specific in mind, just kind of an all over, fairly simple stretch. Remember that there's always variations for things. So if something is just too complicated or your body doesn't like it, or there's pain is not good, right? Pain is your body's signal to tell you to stop doing that, right? So pain is different than sensation though. Just because something feels very weird or you've got a really intense stretch going on doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but pain does, right? So just remember to listen to your body. And if you want something a little bit more, go a little bit deeper. If you're looking for a little bit less this morning, you can do less, right? No one is watching you. You don't have to worry about the person next to you, getting into this amazing pose and you look like you're barely out of bed, So do what you need to do for yourself. Good morning. Oh, Amy. Yeah, kids and my dogs are actually in the house, so that should be that should be good. Morning, Lori. Good to see you. So let's go ahead and get going. So I'm going to suggest starting up in Virasana here. So sitting up on the heels. My voice isn't quite normal yet. If this is not a happy place for you, you can prop yourself up, right? Sitting on a block, just to lift the hips a little bit higher. If this is not happening in any universe, at least right now, then just come to a seated position on your bottom, right? But this is a nice little stretch for the quads and the knees, of course, the tops of your feet, right? We don't much have our feet like this. So it's a nice little stretch. If it's too much, it's too much, and don't worry about it, right? So making sure the pelvis is upright. And this is one thing that this position is good for because it's easier to have your pelvis upright than it is when we're sitting on the floor. So if you do feel, again, like you want to prop your hips up a little higher, that's totally fine to make the pelvis in the right position. That's the important part. So then lift your pelvic floor up, right? Kind of like a Kegel, but not quite, right? Pulling the pelvic floor up, the lower belly comes in and up like an ice cream scoop. And then we sit tall through the sides. Relax into your hips and your shoulders as much as you can. And I know sometimes in this position, relaxing into your hips is asking a lot. So just do, again, what you can do. Go ahead and close your eyes. And as long as the sensation isn't pain, right, try and release that so that we're not thinking about our quads or our knees or whatever as much. That's not the one sole focus point. And see if you can make the sole focus point here, at least for a moment, your breath. Just allowing it to flow like it naturally does, but noticing that it's keeping you alive. And gently allowing that breath to get a little bit bigger. Deeper. Maybe the breath slows a little bit. Let it be just a little bit beyond comfortable. So it's a little bit of a stretch, just like we give the rest of the body a little bit of a stretch. And ideally, no matter what the body is doing, the breath is doing this. So if you feel like you're getting out of breath or you're not breathing sometimes, just come back to this. So let's begin to add in some movement here. We're going to take the arms out to the sides, and with an inhale, stretch the arms toward the ceiling. And then exhale, bring them back down again. We'll do it again. And then one more time like that. From here, you can open your eyes or not. We're going to come forward out onto hands and knees. If your legs got a little stuck there, you can kind of tap your toes or circle your ankles or stretch your legs back. Whatever feels good. Check in that the wrists are underneath the shoulders, your knees are underneath your hips. The belly is still working here. We always want to use the belly to protect the back. From here, on an inhale, drop your belly toward the floor, pull the shoulder blades together on your back. And then exhale and reverse that. Stretch your spine toward the ceiling. And then nice and easy, in and out like that. Connected to your breath. You're gonna find that some areas of your spine are tighter than others. Gently work deeper into those areas. Let's go once more in each direction. Get in there as good as it's going to get for right now. And then just find the center. So the belly is pulled in. We're going to extend the right leg straight back, heel in line with the hip. So don't worry about lifting the leg high. That kicks the hip. We don't want to kick the hip just yet. Pushing through the heel, make the whole leg work. And then when you're ready for it, stretch the left arm forward and reach away from the body. So the fingertips are actively reaching away. The heel is pressing away. You're breathing. Yes. And then release that back to the floor. And we'll switch to the second side. Same exact idea. Left heel pressing out, right fingertips reaching forward. Take your time. If the balance is too easy, close your eyes. Right? Just a little bit of a challenge. And then we're going to release that back down again. So let's go back to that first side. Extend your right leg and left arm again. We're going to add into this here. So connected to your breath with your exhale, pull your elbow and knee together underneath the body. Give it a squeeze in, and then inhale and extend away again. So just gently in and out. And flowing as smoothly as you can, connected to that breath. Let's go one more time. Make sure your right hand is even into the floor so you don't feel like you're leaning into your wrist. Extend away and then release back down, hand and knee. So second side, same idea. Left leg, right arm. And when you're ready, you flow with your breath. Exhaling as you pull in, inhaling as you stretch away. Take one more flow. And then release it back down, hand and knee. So one more time, extend the right leg back. This time, go ahead and bend the knee. Toes are pointing up-ish. We're gonna take the left hand around and find the foot. So you can kind of cheat, right? And lift your hip just to find your foot or bend over or whatever. But then come back to this center again. And the right knee points at the floor rather than sticking out to the side. So maybe that's the challenge with the balance, right? You can press the foot into the hands, draw the shoulder back, maybe lift your toes a little higher. Find what works for you. Make sure you're breathing. And then we're going to release that. Stretch out long again. Release hand and knee. And switch sides. So left leg, right arm. Bending at the knee and reaching around when you're ready. Again, take your time. There's no hurry. Pressing the foot into the hand or lifting the toes, adding what's right on this side. Because it could be different. And then we're going to release that, stretching long, taking it back down to the floor. So one more here on our hands and knees. Let's go ahead and take the left hand. Palm faces up. We're going to reach underneath here. You can drop down simply to your elbow, or you can continue to stretch over and drop down to the shoulder. So wherever you are, make sure your hips are over your knees. Your spine feels long. You don't want to feel like you're leaning on your head. Right? Your head rests comfortably. And it's a nice little twist. If you want a deeper twist, you press into the arm. So the more you press into that left arm, it kind of rotates your belly around. You feel that? You can press into your right hand, pointing the elbow up toward the ceiling, draw the shoulder back a little bit deeper. So feeling how the arms pressing into the mat will deepen the pose. And then if you want to get all fancy with it, you can step the right foot back, lifting the knee away from the floor, challenging your balance here. You can reach the arm toward the ceiling. You can lift your toes away from the floor. Just kind of play and see where your body wants to be this morning. Take your time. And you can add in and then not, right? If it's too much. We'll gently release what we have here, coming back into that all fours position. And then switching sides. So the right hand's palm up, weaving under. Elbow or shoulder to the floor, you decide how deep to go with that. Again, just make sure you're not leaning on your head. Right? The head just rests on the floor, the weight is on the shoulder. And then the more you add the arms, the deeper the twist goes. And maybe the toes lift, maybe the arm lifts, the left arm that is, of course. And then we'll gently release, coming back down, all fours. All right, so from here, go ahead and sit your hips back and take yourself into a child's pose. And anytime you need the break, right, you can drop down here. So go ahead and stretch the arms long in front of you again. And grab the four corners of your hands. From here, lifting the knees away from the floor, we're going to come to down dog. So let yourself wiggle and stretch a little bit here. And then begin to settle in. So again, pressing down into the hands. Make the arms feel like they're working a little bit harder. Press your chest back so you're getting a nice stretch in your shoulders and in your hamstrings. Sinking the heels toward the floor, but they don't need to touch. And then instead of sinking the heels, go ahead and come up on your toes. Keep your hands where they are. Drop your heels to the left. So we just want a nice stretch up the right side of the body here. And then we'll come back to center and do the same thing, second side, dropping the heels right. Coming back to the middle again. And then from here, just walk your feet up to your hands, come to a standing fold. So taking a moment here, make sure your toes are pointing forward, feet are hip bone distance apart, so about the width of your hand between your feet. And then just walk in place. So bend into one knee, press into the opposite heel, switching sides back and forth, just working into the hamstrings. And then come center again. Go ahead and bend the knees enough that your belly touches your thighs. So that might be a lot of bend, it might only be a little bend, whatever. Take your arms behind your legs and wrap around. And then hang on, hold your belly to your thighs and see if you can take your legs straighter. They may or may not go straight. Belly touching the thighs wherever you are. Let your head rest. So you're feeling this really great stretch up your spine as well as your hamstrings. And then we're going to release the arms here. You can keep a little bend in your knees if you prefer that. Let's take the fingers to the lower back. We're going to interlace back there. Draw your shoulder blades together on your back. Stretch your knuckles away. And maybe the hands will lift up. Try not to lock your elbows. Keep them soft. And then we'll release the arms. Let's bring the hands to the thighs. Or press away, coming parallel-ish to the floor with your upper body. Shoulders are back, belly's still working. You can lean as much as you need to on your thighs here. And then let's bend into the knees. Sit back into a chair. So check in that your toes and knees are pointing in the same direction, kind of tracking in line with one another. Tucking the tailbone so you don't feel like your body's sticking out back there. Hang on if you need, center or extend, whatever with the arms. And then on an inhale, stretch to the ceiling and release the arms. So from here, let's go ahead and inhale, stretch the arms back up. We're going to exhale, take it over into a fold. With an inhale, come halfway up-ish again. On the exhale, step your right foot back into a lunge. And then wiggle, right? Making sure that you step back far enough that the knee is over the ankle here and not forward of it. And then just wiggle and shift. See where the hips will go. You can always have a knee down variation in any lunge, so keep that in mind. And then find a center, right? So imagine sweeping your legs toward each other up underneath. The pelvis is square, the spine is long. And then maybe see about taking the left leg straighter. Watch, again, we don't want to lock the joints, keeping the knee soft. And try to avoid rounding over the leg. Keeping the shoulders back, you can always use a block. Or again, drop that right knee to the floor if that's for you. So let's go ahead and bend back into the knee. We're going to step back into our down dog. On an inhale, shift forward, come to plank. So top of your push-up, 4 corners of the hands into the mat. You can absolutely be on knees here. Bend your elbows tight to your sides and drop on down to the belly. Release your toes, hands next to the side ribs. We want to hug those elbows toward each other. And then just roll your shoulders up by your ears together on your back, down toward your hip bones. Press into the pelvis from the tailbone toward the floor so your lower back feels good. Releasing that, up and back, we're going to down dog. And then we'll step the right foot forward. Working your toes back up to your fingers so you've got that knee ankle alignment. And then the same idea, just kind of wiggling around into the hips a little bit. We'll find a center here, again, sweeping the legs toward each other for stability in the pelvis. And then take the right leg straight-ish. Prop if you need to prop. Let's bend back into the knee, and we're going to step forward into full. Halfway up with your inhale. Exhale back over again. And then come all the way up, stretch to the ceiling. Exhale, release your arms back to the sides. So let's do it again. Inhale, lift, and fold. Halfway up. Exhale as you step the left foot back again. And find that center, right? So again, if the knee needs to be down, if you need to be propped up on a block or something, take it. Sweep the legs toward each other. Bring the right hand to the hip and rotate your belly button around toward the thigh. Imagine drawing your right side ribs toward the ceiling, turning the shoulder back, kind of stacking your right shoulder on top of your left. And then we'll release the twist and step back to our down dog. On an inhale, slide forward to plank. Knees if you need knees, take it down. Slide your hands back, roll your shoulders, little pull maybe this time, coming up a little bit higher. And then releasing that, up and back, down dog. Stepping forward with the left foot. Toes to fingers, however you're gonna make them happen. Right knee on the floor if you want it. Sweep the legs toward each other. And then bring the left hand to the hip and add your twist in. Take your time. Release the twist. And step forward into the fold. Halfway up on your inhale. And then exhale back over. Come all the way up, reaching to the ceiling this time. Exhale the arms. And we'll go one more time. Inhale up. And into fold. Halfway up. Exhale the right foot back. Knee down again here if you'd like. Climb up on the thigh, lifting the upper body. So making that right leg straight, almost the knees on the floor. Sinking into your hips, lifting your upper body. Maybe extending the arms if you like. You can play with where the arms need to be, of course. We'll release that back down, step back to down dog. Inhaling, slide forward, plank. Exhale, down to the belly. Inhale as you roll, pull. You can press a little bit, but keep the elbows soft and into the sides of the body. Exhale, release, move back to down dog. And then the right foot steps forward. So again, work those toes all the way up, important. Sweep the legs toward each other, lifting. Left knee on the floor if you need it. Extend the arms if you like again here. And then we're going to release the arms and step forward into the fold. Halfway up, inhale. And then back over. Come all the way up, reach to the ceiling. Exhale the arms. So we're not doing that again, but we are going to kind of move into the same direction. Right? Inhale, you stretch your arms up. We're going to come over into our fold again. This time, step back, down dog. From down dog, drop down to the knees and sit back up on your heels again here. So again, if this is just terrible, come to a seat. Right? Not super important. We're stretching our shoulders here. It's just a little bit easier to get in and out of. So if you want to prop, certainly prop. If you're feeling pretty open and you want to open your knees and feet and sit your bottom down on the floor, that may or may not be accessible for you. So just see where you need to be. Again, this is primarily about our shoulders, so this is less important. Let's take the left arm out. We're going to bring that hand kind of behind the neck, maybe to the upper back. And then see about pointing the elbow more toward the ceiling. Okay, for this guy. Taking that right hand behind the lower back and then kind of walking up the spine. See if you can find your left hand. Maybe yes, maybe no, doesn't matter. Reaching in that direction. So ideally the left elbow is pointing up and the right elbow is pointing down-ish. If the fingers meet, lovely. If they don't worry about it. Try to relax into your hips and shoulders here. And then we're going to release that and switch sides. So the right arm, kind of between the shoulder blades-ish. Hold the elbow point as much toward the ceiling as you can. And then release your left hand to your lower back and see about climbing up here. Releasing the fingertips, maybe roll your shoulders around a little bit if that feels good. And then we're going to make our way back into our down dog. Take your time, removing your props, wiggling your legs around a little bit before you go up, just whatever you need here. And then again, down dog when you're ready. Let yourself wiggle and stretch. Knee injury. Yeah, so the higher you put up, if that's, Darlene has a knee injury, she said. This may or may not end up being accessible at all. If you pop your hips up higher, if you need to come down off your down dog, do for just a little second. The higher your hips are, the less pressure there is on a knee. If it's not enough, just skip it entirely, right, until your knee is happy. So from down dog, we're going to go ahead and holler at me and hopefully you can catch your comments. Left foot's coming forward into a lunge. So just like we did before, right? Toes all the way up to the fingers. The right knee can be on the floor if it's too much for the balance. Sweep the legs toward each other, running up on the thigh. So we're going to stay up on the back toes or down on that knee so the hip stays square to the top of the mat for now. And then again, same idea, the arms can reach. You can lick up unless that makes it just super wobbly. From here, go ahead and drop your back heel. Let your hips open. We're going to open the arms, left arm reaching forward, right arm reaching back. You want to look down and make sure you can see just your left big toe here. Right, so the knee is stacked over the ankle. From here, bend the left arm, rest the forearm on the thigh, and bring the right arm up and over the ear. Stretch through your fingertips. So ideally, this right side is a nice long line. You can lean as heavily on the thigh as you need to lean. Try to lean only as much as you have to, though. And then let's open it up into triangle. So take this left leg straighter, changing where the arm is leaning. Try not to lean on your knee, of course, and only as much as you have to. Right arm's going to stretch to the ceiling. You can absolutely use your block here if that's you, or just let the arm dangle, of course. Let's make our way back to our lunge and step back into down dog again. Switching sides, step the right foot forward. Work your toes all the way up. Knee to the mat or not, climb up. When you're ready for it, extend the arms. Dropping the back heel, opening the arms here for your warrior two. Check that you have your knee over your ankle. Relax into your shoulders and keep the shoulders over the hips. And then bending the right arm, rest it, left arm up and over. You can descend a little deeper into your hips. Lean as much or as little as you need here on the thigh. Gently begin to take that right leg straighter. Prop if you need to prop here. Lean only as much as you need to lean. Keep the shoulders back, maybe looking up unless, again, that's too intense for the balance. And then we'll release it, come over to your lunge, and step back into your down dog again. So from down dog, step the feet forward. We're going to come to a standing fold again. This time here, a little bend into the knees on the inhale, roll up through your spine. And come to stand tall. So here we're going to stand on one foot. So sometimes having something too cushiony underneath your foot is counterproductive, so you can step away from your mat. If you feel like you might fall over and you need the wall next to you, that's fine too, right? Whatever you need here. And we want to think about the left foot. Sounds weird, right? But we really want to ground into the four corners of the foot. And you can lean more in other places, right? But the more you stay centered, the easier everything else is when you're standing on one foot. So all the weight into that left foot. We're going to lift the right leg. Open the knee and bring the right foot to the inside of the left leg. So your toes might need to be on the floor. You can be at the calf or maybe up into the inner thigh. Avoid your knee joint. Hug the legs toward each other up underneath. That brings stability. Keep the tailbone tucked. The hands can come center. They can extend. They can be holding out here. So if you feel super wobbly, you can still touch the wall or whatever. And you can look up or not so much. Notice how you wobble on the foot. It's going to wobble, just keep coming to center. Let's draw the arms back in. And we'll release that side and move to the second side. So same idea. Sometimes it's different on one side versus another. So just see what happens over here. All the weight to the right, nice and even on the four corners of that foot. Lifting the left knee, opening. And again, bringing the foot in wherever it needs to be here. Okay, so higher or lower, anywhere but your knee joint, and then hug in. Press the foot into the leg and the leg back in. Tucking the tailbone, standing extra tall, and then the hands do what the hands do. Maybe they lift, maybe not so much. Looking forward or looking up. Try to avoid looking down. That'll bring your head forward and make balance even more complicated. Take one more breath here. Yes, you have to be breathing. And then bring it in and release it. All right. So we are done standing. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, take yourself over into that fold again. And step back into your down dog. Maybe give yourself a moment in child's pose, dropping down to the knees. Hey, Debbie. Yeah, taking a child's pose for just a moment, kind of transitioning. And then bringing it back to down dog. From here, slide your left knee up behind your left wrist. This always reminds me of Twister, right? So bring the knee all the way up there. Stretch your right leg as long behind you as you can, keeping the hips square. So you can reach back further if you let the hips kind of fall to the side, but we want to stay in the middle. So the knee may or may not do this, right? So listen to your body. Sometimes this is plenty of stretch. Sometimes it's too much. If it's too much, come out. If it's not enough, you can open the knee more to the left. Maybe bring your toes closer to your right hand. So the shin is kind of parallel to the top edge of the mat-ish, right? There's always a place where your body says that's enough. And you can be here, but again, if the hips kind of fall over to the side, the stretch is gone. So don't worry too much about all the fancy stuff, right? Just find a stretch. So you can stay up on your hands, or you can drop down to your forearms, or maybe all the way down so your forehead rests on the floor. And again, here we want to just feel the hips sinking evenly toward the floor. You'll find a place in the middle between squeezing to keep your pelvis level and releasing and letting everything kind of flop, right? Find the middle. Take another big breath. And then we're going to come back up onto the hands and make our way back to down dog. Take your time with this. Wiggle, stretch, whatever you got to do over here. And then we're going to transition to that second side. So go ahead and bring the right knee up behind the wrist. And you'll find the sides are different. So go through the same process again. Where am I feeling sensation? Can I open the knee? Yeah, no, bring it back in, right? Can the toes come forward? Yeah, a little bit maybe, right? So find where it is here. Find center. And then maybe come down. And if as you come down, you find, no, I don't like that anymore, come back up again. And there are a lot of things that make practicing at home a challenge. Sometimes getting out of bed, actually getting there versus when you have to be someplace at a certain time, right? But the beauty of this is that you get to come in and out without feeling pressured or guilty. If yoga makes you feel guilty, something's wrong. Yoga should make you feel good. So let's go ahead and come back up onto the hands and wiggle our way out of this. Drop on down to the knees, sitting back on the heels. And then one last time here, we're going to come sit up on the heels. Again, if this is terrible, just come to your seat, prop up as high as you need to prop up. You can also cushion, add a little bit of padding underneath your ankles maybe, or your knees if that's where you're feeling not so happy about this. Go deeper if you want to go deeper, of course. Okay. This time here, we're going to take the left arm out and bring it in front. So the elbows bent, fingers pointing toward the ceiling. Take the right arm underneath, weave it between your forearm and your face, and see if you can catch your fingers or catch your hand. Relax into your shoulders. So the modification here is to maybe simply just grab your opposite shoulder. You can stack your elbows more and then kind of catch the fingers. Sometimes that little adjustment helps. If it's not working out, don't worry about it too much. Try to relax into your shoulders as much as you can. And you can adjust, maybe lifting your elbows or taking your hands further away from your face, just finding a nice little stretch across the backs and maybe the tops of your shoulders here. Go ahead and release the arms. Roll them around a little bit. Sometimes that little release between feels good. And then the right arm is going to come out. Left arm under between, maybe the fingers catch over here. So again, it can be different on this side. You can take the adjustments and kind of wiggle your way into it. Find where it's going to be over here. Relax your shoulders. And then play with wherever else you need to adjust to feel the nice stretch. Releasing the arms, roll around again here, and then we're going to take the legs out front if they're not already there. So let the legs extend long. Flex your feet as if you're standing up. So the feet are still that hip bone width apart, sort of like you're in your half fold standing. Making sure that you're upright on your pelvis. So if you need to adjust your seat here, certainly do. Belly's in, we're going to stretch the arms up. And then hinge forward from the hip. When you can't hinge forward any further, the arms fall. So maybe you touch your toes and maybe you don't. That's not the goal. Keeping the shoulders back. Let's take one more breath here. With an inhale, come all the way up again. We're going to release the arms. And let's go ahead and take the right foot either to the inside of the left leg or cross it over the left leg. Right? And this foot can be more by your ankle if it needs to be, more by your hip if that's you, wherever you can sit upright on the pelvis. So you can leave this left leg straight, or maybe you can bend and bring the heel in front of the right sit bone. So right foot on the floor, pelvis even into the mat. Sit up really tall. And then you get to hang on to the leg. So take that left arm, wrap it around the leg, right hand behind your back here. And you can press into the hand behind your back, pull against the leg to draw yourself a little deeper into the twist, just like we used the floor at the very beginning. Take one more breath here. And then gently release back to the center. Unhook your legs. And then moving to the second side. So again, this left foot just to the inside of the leg, to the outside of the right leg, higher or lower. Pelvis is upright is the most important part, right? So that your spine can be neutral from the bottom all the way up. And then maybe the right leg bends or not. Sitting extra tall here, hang on to the leg. Wrap the right arm, support with the left hand behind your back-ish. And then a little bit more or less pull, draws you deeper. Let's release, come back to the center again. Unhook your legs. Maybe wobble them around a little bit. Wiggle. And then we'll take the feet flat to the floor. Make sure you're someplace on your mat that you can roll back to and still be on your mat. If you're far back, you'll want to scoot forward. So hang onto your hamstrings here and take your arms almost straight. Not quite. But lift your chest here, and already you should feel your abdominals working. Keep that. If it's enough, it's enough. You can lift your toes up off the floor to add a little bit more. And you can hang on as much or as little as you need. Taking the shins maybe parallel to the floor. Keep the chest lifted. You can take the legs straight as long as the toes are high. We don't want to stress the back. We want to be using our belly here. And again, hanging on or letting go in any one of those places. Let's bring the soles of the feet together. Reach down, hang onto your ankles. Let your heels come in, let your knees fall open. Keep lifting your chest, otherwise you roll down to your back. And then do it like you mean it. Go ahead and C-curve your spine and roll on down. Soles of the feet are going to stay together. Let the legs come to the floor. And the knees are just going to fall out to the sides. Relax your belly, your inner hip here. This feels nice on my lower back. I don't know if that's an experience you're having or not, but and then gently draw those knees back together. And hug the knees to the chest and rock a little bit. So you can kind of rock up and down your spine. You can rock a little bit side to side. Maybe draw circles with your knees. Anything that feels good here. Go ahead and take your feet flat to the floor. We're going to work with just a little bit of bridge here. So we want the feet to be hip bone distance apart and the heels to be pretty close to your hips, not touching. That's a little too close typically. And then the arms are going to be really tight down to the sides of your body, as tight as you can get them. Head is resting comfortably. Make sure the back of your neck is not touching the floor. And if you're leaning too much on your head as we go, make sure you come down from that, right? So keep the tailbone tucked under, a little bit of rotation of the pelvis there. Press down into your pelvis and lift your pelvis up off the floor. Don't worry about high. Again, you check in, make sure that your neck and head are happy about this. The knees are not falling open. The feet are even on the floor. And then you can kind of tuck your shoulders underneath and that'll lift your chest. You can interlace your fingers behind your back, any little fancy things that you like here. But again, make sure that your head and neck are comfortable. It's easy to sort of rock or maybe put too much pressure on the head. So find where you're comfortable. And I'm using air quotes, and I'm sure you can't see me here, but take one more breath. Really good. And then gently make your way back down from that. Keep your feet flat on the floor for just a couple of breaths. You definitely do want to bring your knees in, but not too quickly. And then go ahead and draw your knees to your chest and rock again. Go ahead and take the feet back to the floor. From there, cross the left ankle over the right knee. So we want the feet to stay flexed. We're going to reach back behind the right thigh here, drawing the leg in a little bit. You can use your left elbow to press your left leg away. You can get a little hip stretch there. And then pull the legs in toward your chest. The right leg anyway. The left leg is kind of pushing away, right? Keeping the feet flexed. Notice how you might shift on your pelvis, right? Maybe the tailbone kind of starts pointing up at the ceiling and your lower back presses down into the mat. Sometimes one hip kicks higher than the other. Just kind of notice how the body shifts. And then keep the arms pulling in, but now use the right leg to push back into the hands. And as the leg pushes back, see if you can find a more neutral place for your pelvis. Usually it's the pelvis that moves around. Take one more breath here. And then release. Uncross the legs. And switch. So your right ankle over your left knee. Reach back behind the left thigh and draw in. So the right leg pushes away as much or as little as feels right. And again, just kind of noticing how the body will compensate. Arms drawing in, and now use the leg to push back away, get that push and pull. Make it as much as a little bit of work. You can make it more and make your muscles really shake here. But the idea is just to get the pelvis neutral again with the leg in as close as it can be. And then we'll release that 2 feet to the floor. From here, opening the arms out into a T position. Picking your hips up, move them to the right edge of your mat and let your knees fall off to the left. And let the legs relax to the side, whether they touch the floor, whether they touch each other or not. Sometimes that right shoulder wants to lift. Just try to let the body be heavy. Let's take another big breath here. And then nice and easy, bring it back to center. Switching sides, hips to the left and the knees to the right. Once you get there, just let the muscles release. And sometimes working harder gets you deeper. And sometimes letting go allows you to move a little deeper. So see where it is here. We'll take another big breath. And then gently bring yourself back to the center again. One last time here, go ahead and draw your knees to your chest. Rock. And then squeeze those knees in as tight to your chest as you can get. See about wrapping your arms across your shins. Pull the forehead toward the knees. Squeeze into this tiny little ball. And then release the body into a full stretch. Fingertips to toes, using every muscle. And then releasing that. Let your arms come back down by your sides. Take a second to feel aligned on the floor. So you feel neutral with your spine. We want to feel even across our hips and our shoulders. Arms feel equally long. Same idea for your legs. And then let your feet flop open. Allow your palms to turn face up. And release every muscle into the mat. Bringing the attention back solely to the breath again. The body's done. You don't have to do anything with that. Simply focusing on the breath. And even release control of the breath. Just let it do what it does naturally all day, every day. Noticing if this breath now is different than the one you started with. If your mind wanders away, just bring it back. Watching the in and the out. Staying present and relaxed for just a few minutes. Slowly draw in a deep, cleansing breath, and then let it all go. Wiggling fingers and toes. Move and stretch through your arms and your legs. If you'd like another full body stretch, certainly take that. And when you're ready, take the feet flat to the floor. Gently roll yourself off to one side or the other. And slowly make your way up to seated. Take your time. Keeping your eyes closed, maybe your mind super quiet. Sitting well. Drawing the palms to touch. Bowing your head to your heart. From my heart to yours. Namaste. Happy Saturday, you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did have any questions or things came up, certainly let me know. We can talk about that and modify if you need. Yeah, we're here next week as well. Until further notice, I suppose, right? Be sure to visit my website. You can check out classes anytime there, any day yoga, right? Have a great weekend, and I hope to see you next weekend. You're welcome, you guys. Love you. Bye. Thanks, guys.